everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. It seems like it comes so quickly, but then it's over even quicker than what it barreled down on us. So this is the first time that I've been back in my office for over 2 weeks. A little bit rusty, and it's not so much that as I come in and, well, I have card club that I'm working on and my try it class that I'm working on, but you know, everything had just gotten laid in my office over the holidays, you know, extra wrapping, things to return, the projects that I had been working on, camp, I never cleaned up from camp. So I got stuff mailed out. I started to answering emails, but I wanted to get club going, and I did design 2 of the projects for try it class. So it's been a productive day so far. But we are just a couple of days away from these 2 new catalogs. They start on January 4th. So if you don't have them yet and you're in the US, let me know. I'd be happy to send you your first copy free of charge. This one is Celebration. Everything in it is free with a purchase. So if you have it, you can flip through it. I'll show it to you once I can. On January 4th, we're able to open them, but before that, we can't show the inside online. And then the mini catalog. So I've done a few. We go. This isn't all I've done, but if you want to see some sneak peeks, here's some that I've done. This is one of the try it class projects. And then this card uses the suite that is going to be my card club for January. So my card club is online. It's a subscription service. It's the least expensive thing that I offer online. Just because it's easy when I know that many people are going to do it every month. So you sign up via PayPal subscriptions, and then PayPal handles all of that. You do not have to have a PayPal account. You just have to have whatever form of payment you sign up with through them, but they just will auto bill you the same day every month that you signed up on. So if you signed up on the 10th, sometimes it gets a little mixed up because, you know, February's coming. So it can be a day or 2 off, but it's about a month after you sign up. So it costs $38, and that includes most months except for December, and we just did it December, so December is almost always different, but the rest of the months you usually get a full spool of ribbon, and this time you are getting the gold faux leather trim. It is beautiful, and it does look like faux leather. So you get a whole spool of that. You get a whole package of the adhesive back cork rounds, and then you get a half a package cut 6x12 of the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper. So I'll let you have a real quick look at these. It's a really pretty paper. You can see it's got gold accents. Here's the sheet we're using today. This is the one I used on the other card, which you can go, I think in that video, I show you all of the paper. So if you want to see it all, go over there, but you get a half a sheet of it. And then I send the supplies pre-cut for everybody in club to make 6 projects. We do 3 designs, 2 of each. So here is, it would come just like this for this particular project, and then you cut down the piece of Designer Series paper to match. And so then every month, if you want to add the stamp set, you can. When you add things during club, then I pay the tax and the shipping and handling. So this month, this suite has 2 sets. So Lovely and Sweet is the set, but I'm going to let you add both of them if you want to. And I'm going to try to just use the stamps out of this one, and then I may do an alternate version of them that incorporates more of them. So this is the stamps and the dies that are part of Lovely and Sweet. And if you're in club and you add this on, then you get to pick a celebration item, a $50 one. And if you're in club and you add the Notes of Nature, which is the other set that goes with, then you can add 2 celebrations or a $100 item. So all of that information is on your club page. You can go over. Anybody that's interested in my card club can go look at that. So let's do this month's first project. The other 2 projects are just for club members. So I have Pebbled Path. So it doesn't really matter what order we go in. So this is just a half a sheet, and you would get it cut just like this. Anything that has to be run through the folder or die cut is done like that, unless it's, I'll show you one of the dies on here. I have the die to cut it out. If you don't buy the dies, then you can hand trim it. And you can always substitute something similar if you want to use something similar. So here's our card. Let's go ahead and just stamp this first. So we have this. I have Pebbled Path. We're just going to do some tone-on-tone stamping. Then this set lends itself really well to, oh, I can't even think of the word now. I said it when I did it, and I thought it just a second ago, well, it'll come back to me in a minute. Collage cards, there we go. So it has lots of pieces. It's kind of sketch notebooky. This one actually, when I stamp the image in a second, it has a coffee bean pod. So that's the front of our card. Not much of it's going to show, so I'm just getting the edges, but what is going to show is the back of the card. So I'm just going to kind of do these so they kind of go off the edge. And you want to make sure that you kind of spin it around so it doesn't look like the exact same stamp, even though it is. So this is just a little bit of netting. And then you will also get this little tag, which is one of the dies, but you'll get 2 of those. So I'm just going to barely touch with this because I don't want it to be super dark. Get a little bit more off of it, actually. So now that's just a little bit collagey as well. And then let's take some black. And here's another little, this is kind of like an almanac, nature's notebook kind of stamp. I think it says field, lawn, and something. I don't remember. And I'm just going to do it in black right off the edge. And again, you're barely going to see it. It's just to give the, it says field, lawn, and garden. I knew it said something like that. I made the card and then I did a couple of other things before I filmed. But you're just going to see a little bit of the edge. So not enough to really read it, except for over here. You might get a whole one on there so they can kind of read. So I'm not worried about it going over the top. Just trying to build up some background. And then that's all for those. I'm not going to put that on the tag because I want to put the words. And I'm going to do just sending a little bit of love your way. Anybody, this could be good for a sympathy. It could be a birthday. It could be Valentine's, whatever you want it to be. So just sending a little bit of love your way. And then I'm going to take the piece of white and the big old coffee bean. Now, one of my favorite parts about this stamp set is that when you stamp it, it comes with the horticultural name. Is that the right word? Like if somebody drew it and then wrote that name on here, except when you use the die, it cuts it right off. So it was my favorite part. And then I realized as soon as I put it through, there's the little figure A. Oh, this is a cocoa bean. Is that a, maybe this is, I think it has coffee beans in it. I don't know. Maybe it's a cocoa bean. So it says figure A Thurboma cocoa. But you lose that when you run it through with the die. If you are hand trimming them, then you could leave that little part on if you wanted. I thought about stamping it over the top of my paper, but I decided it wouldn't show up well enough. So here is the 6x6 piece of paper. So I'm going to cut this one 5 this way, because you want your words to make sure that they go the right direction. So here's 5. And then this one, you get 2 sheets of this, but you have enough in this one sheet to do 2 cards. So I'm going to do 3.5. You know, a full card would be 4 with a little bit of a border, but I want to be able to use some of this on the other side. But when you trim it, you're also going to have this. So it's up, you'll have plenty to do this next bit. So you just need a little bit of the next, just to kind of layer over it. So I'm going to do 1 inch here. But I'm going to try to see where I get the most full flowers left on this, because we're going to cut a couple of those out. So here's our one. And then this leaves me totally different flowers than what's on my other one, because that's the nature of Designer Series paper, which I've been cutting things out of paper because that's what we do in Triad class. So on this one, I can cut the flower, I can cut these leaves. I could get a bit of those leaves if I wanted. I could get this, which is a vanilla bean, and I can get one of those pods. So I'm just going to hand trim these out. Let's go ahead and color this. You can use ink pads. You can use, I'm going to use blends. You could use refills. You could really use anything you want. I pulled out my Pebbled Path, my Pecan Pie, and Old Olive. The Pecan Pie is also one of the colors in the paper, so I'm going to try to keep it, with Club, I try to keep the colors condensed. So this would probably be the most colors on the projects that we would use. So let's start. I'm going to take my light Pebbled Path. I'm trying to remember how I did this the first time. And I'm just going to kind of add some color down these stripes first. And this is the light of our little pod here. And I'm going to add a little bit to the back sides of the leaves where it's kind of got the edges. And then let's do our light pecan. And I can use my brush tip for this because I'm just going to add a little bit of color. And then I'm going to color in my stem. Let's do our dark pecan, and for this one I'm going to use my bullet tip so I can have a little bit more control. And I'm just tracing over the top of the lines that are on the patterns, and then up here I'm going to kind of give these a little bit more definition now. I'm going to take my brush and kind of just, this is the light pecan. And then let's go to our dark pebbled path. And again, I'm trying to get these little pod parts. The pecan just kind of gives it a little bit of depth. I really want it to be pebbled path, the color, because that's what the paper is, but this helps give it a little bit of more than one color. And then I'm going to go back with my light pebbled path and I'm going to blend all this together, but you want to make sure that you also leave areas where you don't go over the top of it. So first I'm just going to kind of pull it in because this is the quickest way to color. Make sure you do both of them separate. If you go like this over the top, then it looks like it's all one color and you want them to be two separate pods. Now I'm going to take my light pecan again, and you can see how the stripes on the pods go this way. Seeds, I guess a seed pod. So now I'm going to blend them like this. And again, I want to keep a little bit of white in there for the sun reflecting off of them, but not too much. Look at the difference what that does. Just adding the pecan as opposed to the stripes and pulling it the other direction. Now I'm going to go with my light olive first, and I can just use the brush tip again. Brush over my leaves. When you use the brush tip, make sure that you use it sideways. You don't want to press straight down on it. It's not good for your blends. And now we'll take our dark one. And kind of just add some highlights of dark. Again, keep a little bit of white space in there, and then I'm just going to grab these tiny little leaves and just give them a dot of green. The blends bleed. That's a tongue twister. So on those tiny things especially, you don't need more than one little dot and it'll fill in. Now I'm going to go with my bullet tip and kind of blend all this. You can see where I have those lines of pecan. They'll fade into it when I do this. And to get them to really fade, if you just kind of swirl your pen around, then it gets them. And my pens are brand new. My olives are brand new. So they don't make that noise because they're dry. They make that noise because I press really hard. Now, if you're in club and you don't have the die, then you can just hand trim this out and then you can opt to leave that part on. I have the die, so I'm going to run mine through the machine. And part of the reason I like the die on this is it gives that one little hole is going to have a hole in here. And then you don't have to try to get that yourself. Let me cut this out. With Card Club this month, you always have till the 10th to sign up or add or pause or whatever you need to do. It's always, I do everything on the 11th. This month I am also adding an optional add-on, which is the postage labels that are part of the perennial lavender, just because I have a feeling if anything's going to sell out quickly, it could be those. And I don't know that we'll do the lavender in club, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys get those now if you want. So we have this. Now we just need to put this card together, and this is really the fun part. So we have our pieces here, and then this, you know, is a nature journal and off on a big adventure, and you have like stuck it in your pocket and it's been on the ground, so it needs to be a little bit messed up, right? The paper already looks like that. I love this side of the paper. Pebbled Path is one of my favorite colors. Gray Granite's always been my favorite color of all of our colors, and Pebbled Path is a nice complement to the Gray Granite. I like it because they're a fun neutral. They're not just a normal neutral. So I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of texture. You could run it through a folder if you have one and you want to do that. Isn't that pretty? It was really hard to use this side of the paper. That's why we used this side twice on the front. I found a way to get both sides of this paper on because it's really pretty. So I've just got these kind of bent this way, and now go back and do it the back way. We want it to bend forward. Don't worry about it getting bent because, again, it's been on the ground as you were out in the jungle doing your adventures and your research. Go ahead and do this again. I did it once, but then I opened it back up. And then I'm going to take my Pebbled Path. You can use a blending brush if you want. I added this to the end of my other card, so it was already stuck together, so there was no adding a blending brush. But I liked it, and I decided that I wanted to do it. Again, it's going for the messy, the collage. Now I can remember the word. So just kind of put it on there. I'm not dragging the whole thing, which you wouldn't get some of these square images like that if you used a blending brush. But for this particular project, I kind of like it. It's a nice way to add color without having to layer and not needing another piece of cardstock. And I'm going to do the same thing on this, and I'm just laying it. That way not everywhere has it, and you can go higher up on some parts than on others, and then you can obviously leave some out, so it gives a nice texture to it. Where'd I put my adhesive? Right in front of me. That's where it would be. So let's add a little strip over here. And when you've done this, see, I'm not putting it on flat, and then you can kind of just squish it down on there, and it gets a little bit of the wrinkles. It's a little bit crooked, but it's good because I used a seal. So I can pull it back up real quick. And on this one, it really doesn't matter if I pull it up quick because I'm going for the wrinkled. So I'm just going to pull that this way. There we go. And then let's get our other. See how much you just barely see any of the side, but it gives some nice depth to your background. We have this. Sometimes I'm tempted to read these, but sometimes they're not all the way on there. I'm going to stick this on here, and then you're going to have to kind of play with these pieces. My other piece had a much bigger one big piece, but I think let's do this back here. So I've stuck that into the, and this is another place where you can use, if you have one of these that goes off the side of the paper, choose that one because you don't even, it doesn't need to be on here. So let's start with this. And then this is going to go here. And then I just want these to kind of be behind. So on my other one, it's a bigger pattern, like I said. So we'll not adhere that one yet, but I want to see where it is. So I think I'll do this up here. I'll put this one, I'll put it over here. Yeah. Oops, needs to stay on the card, Cherry. There we go. And then I'm going to use my one last piece. I've been using this, well, maybe it was sitting here. I've been using a piece of sticky strip that I had cut funky. Been using it for days now, but now I don't see where I left. Oh, here it is. So we're down to this. You know, sometimes you have something on your desk that you don't want to throw away, and I'm like, I'll save it till I do something with it. I'm never going to use a funky piece intentionally like this, so I just started using it right before Christmas. So now y'all can watch me go back to dimensionals after this project. So I want this one popped up. And if you want, you can bend it a little bit as well. I didn't on this one. I don't know why. Now remember, you have your ribbon and your embellishments. So this ribbon is so much fun to work with. And I know I'm going to have a really good time playing with it, but I haven't had a lot of time to experiment yet. So by the time I do the next 2 club projects, Dry It class will be done. So I'll have a little bit more time to mess with it. It does great knots. It does have a tinge of gold. A little bit glittery, but not so much that you can't use it on a masculine card. Now for this, I highly recommend that you use a glue, but I don't have time to sit here and wait for it to dry. So just put either of our 2 glues on there and start with this. Put something on to just hold it in place. And then once that's dry, do these. We don't have time in a video to do that. So I am just going to use my adhesive, but you have to be careful because the adhesive is a thicker stretch of it than what the ribbon is. And you'll have adhesive all over your card if you just draw a line. You could even do that much adhesive and then put the glue on, because that's not enough to hold it, but I'll glue it afterwards. And then in Card Club, we use our embellishments. So our cards are always highly embellished because you get a new package every month, so you don't need to save these. There are 120 in here, so I'm putting 5 on a card. So you could do over 20 cards that had 5 on them. I'm going to use 2 of the larger size. So start with those. Put one here. And then I'll put another larger one kind of up here. And then I'm going to do 3 of the smaller circles. You always start with the bigger ones because if there's a little space like this, you know how much space the big one takes, and the smaller ones will fit in something smaller. And then I just took my Wink of Stella, partly because I hope you can see it. Well, in Club, you'll obviously be able to see it, but it has that little bit of, it's not glitter, it's just a little bit of shimmer. So I just went ahead and took my Stella, and I didn't color the whole thing. I just kind of gave stripes of color. Plus, you know, it's winter. There might be a little bit of frost in this magical forest that we are in getting our beans. So again, I don't want it to be Stella-ish, like if I had painted with it, but I did want it to be enough that kind of ties in with the ribbon. So here's this one. They're going to all look a little bit different because of the fact that we're cutting these out. It's like Dry It. So here you can see this is a bigger one here. There you go. So if you're interested in Club, that should be down below this video. You can find the information. I have a page dedicated to Card Club on my website. So just go there and click the Card Club link. I can't talk. I told you I'm out of practice. I've been, I would say I've been doing nothing. I haven't been doing nothing. There was one day where I mostly read, but you know, stuff still has to be done. But obviously I haven't been talking to no one. As I do when I do these videos. So there's information there, and if you're on my email list, that's the best way to find out all about Card Club. Everybody have a great day and a happy 2024.